Hello, Cubs fans, and welcome to a brand new edition of Cubs on Tap. It's good to be back with you all. We had some vacations and other things occurring amongst the Cubs on Tap group, but we're back. We're back with you for really not such a great game to talk about. We will talk a little bit of positive because the Cubs did win 2 out of 3 over the Braves over the weekend. That was kind of cool and tough, but just a sliver of sunshine, Joey, like we had in the month of March, where we had like 33 straight days without sunshine. Those 2 wins kind of felt like that sunshine, and then they quickly went away and disappeared. But before we get into all that, how are you doing, my friend?
Yeah, I'm all right, Ron. I'm glad to have you back and Juice hopefully soon too on the mic, because I've been dying to hear your guys' thoughts about this terrible team. Like, let's just be bluntly honest about it. It's a horrible team this season that we are dealing with and watching. But, tonight I'm doing good, and it's because I'm just kind of tuning out the losses at this point. And as I was saying to you earlier, it's just like I'm to the point where I don't really care if this team wins or loses on a daily basis. I'm just looking at individual performances, kind of like what we talked about, what we should be doing when watching this team. So, yeah, I guess I'm good, and I'm very happy to have you back, man. It's good to talk to you again.
It does feel good to talk to you again, my friend. I wish it was under better circumstances because, Joey, I used the analogy. So I was visiting some family. I was down in Georgia. Ironically, I was in Atlanta for the win of the series. So, hey, maybe I was able to curse the land that like the Braves were from or something for at least a couple days. I tried. I did my best. But I finally got to watch the new movie on Netflix, The Hustle, right? Everybody's talking about it. Adam Sandler, a bunch of NBA players. Very good movie. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. And I'll tell you why this relates to the Cubs, because Joey, you saw it as well. And I don't want to spoil it. I don't want to spoil it for anybody. But there's a quote in the movie at one point in the movie between Adam Sandler and, I'm going to mispronounce his name, so I'm not going to try and say it, but the guy that plays the main character, Bo Cruz, in the movie. And he says, they can't kill you if you're already dead inside, or something along those lines. It might not be the verbatim quote. That's kind of how I feel with this Cubs team. I'm already dead inside to this team. Like you said, right? The losses don't hurt me anymore. I'm already dead. They can't kill me anymore. It's fine. I have, like you said, I really do agree. I think a lot of this season now is this is a season of like sacrifice, right? Like this is some old like Mayan temple shit here where like we're sacrificing the 2022 season in just the hopes that this team is good in the future. Because like you sacrifice for rain, like right back in the day, they would sacrifice for rain to the rain gods, right? There's no guarantee that the rain's going to come. It's up to the rain gods, right? And in this case, like it kind of feels like it's up to the baseball gods, right? Can we sacrifice 2022 for maybe a chance at this team being good in or at least interesting to watch in 2023 and beyond? And like literally the only thing that gets me tuned in, and I'm gonna reel this back in really quick because otherwise I'll sit here and just go, wee, like you said, we haven't talked in a while.
I've got a great analogy to go along with what you were saying too, by the way. But go ahead.
Just like it's a shitty season, and it's really coming down to what does this future look like? What pieces on this team are gonna be a part of that future? Are there any that are gonna be a part? Christopher Morel, very much a reason, in my opinion, to tune in. I think he is a part of that team down the road in some capacity. I think he is. I think Ian Happ's got a chance to stay. Has really turned himself around as just a consistent hitter. I literally like the one thing I wrote about Ian Happ in the offseason was that he needed to just be consistent. If he could be consistent, he's a good baseball player. We're seeing it, right? He's hitting in the 280s. You know, maybe the power and the slugging's not there, but even without the slugging, he still has like an 80 something OPS. Like his on base is insane. Like he kind of feels like a good Moneyball player now, which is weird. Like maybe he works in the new dead ball baseball era, whatever. I don't know. But like that's where I'm at, Joey. And I really am just truly, they cannot kill me because I'm already dead inside. And I want to hear your analogy too, because I think a lot of people are feeling this way too.
No, I mean, I feel like that's just all I'm seeing on Twitter is just a bunch of people getting upset, more and more upset on Twitter by each and every loss because of how it's been told to them that this team should be competitive, right? Like that's what's been told, that this team will be competitive. And that was the wrong way to go about it. So Jed Hoyer, the way that they were talking about this team, they just shouldn't have. Yes, you just messed up. Like you shot yourself in the foot by saying that. You should have never said that.
No.
You should have said you're just working to build this team to be competitive, right? Like whether it's a rebuild, retool, whatever we're seeing, it's definitely going to take more than this season. So I guess with the analogy part of it, I was thinking of back to a time when I was delivering at the pizza place. It was a really bad storm, like horrible storm. You could see the clouds getting horrible as far as like a tornado was on the way. And I'm freaking out because I'm like, do I pull over? I'm like, oh, I don't know. I'm like, this is looking horrible. I see the funnel. I'm like, I don't know what to do right now. I get to the house and they're like, hey, come on inside, come in the basement, hang out with us. So I'm watching some baseball game, like in their basement or whatever. And I don't even remember who was playing at the time. It wasn't the Cubs. Anyways, I get back to the restaurant. I was like, I didn't know what to do. I was talking to my boss. I'm like, should I like sacrifice a lasagna like for the tornado or something? Like that's kind of what I was thinking when you were saying making a sacrifice to just like just
sacrifice the season. Yeah.
And then I was looking at my shirt here. Yes, I'm Italian. No, I'm not in the mafia. But Ron, there will be some players getting whacked off of this roster, and that's just I'm just all about the wordplay today, I guess, because like let's be honest, there are some guys that need to get whacked off this roster before it will be competitive, and we're looking at it. Some of these guys look like they're chopping down trees when they're up there to bat and just swinging and missing like crazy and missing meatballs. You got Patrick Wisdom is the key example of that right now. Some other guys, you got guys that don't even deserve to be playing every day that are playing every day with Jonathan VR, Jason Hayward. I mean, you called up Nelson Velasquez has had a hit today.
Did pinch hit. Look good.
Look good.
But see it.
You love to see it, but why is he playing as a short side platoon when somebody mentioned this on Twitter? People are acting like he's not going to go back down to AAA when David Bodie is ready from the rehab assignment. Yeah, maybe that's the case. Obviously, that's probably what's going to happen. But you know what you could have done? Because he's getting at bats in the minors right now, David Bodie. You could have just called him up instead of messing around with Nelson Velasquez if you're not going to play him every day against righties. Right. Because short side platoon, that he could be used as a pinch hitter. He could be out of the game after the lefty exits the game. David Bodie could pull him out of the game. So there's a lot of different things you could do. I don't want them to mess with a kid like this. You're going to handle it like the Clint Frazier situation. You're just going to sit him against all these right-handed pitchers. Sorry to take it there immediately, Ron, but it rubbed me the wrong way today.
No, I'm glad you did because, it almost feels like not even worth talking about the Brave series because that was cool. They won a series. Great. Thank God, right? Like the hottest team in baseball finally lost and the coldest team in baseball finally won. Like that's what happened, right?
Yeah.
Weird baseball shit happened. That's just what happens. But like, I agree with you. When we come into like this series, right, and we see what's going on, they call up Velasquez and they announce that they're going to use him, like you said, as a platoon and like pinch hit. And it's like, why are you going to screw with a young guy who's getting regular at bats in the minors? Like, either give him the at bats at the major league level because you already suck. Why the fuck does it matter at this point? Like, either you do that or, like you said, go just bring up David Bodie then and let him be your guy coming off the bench and playing maybe every other day or every couple days. And I'll tell you what, you know why he'll play more? Because it's David Bodie, and for some reason that makes fucking sense this year. So, like, maybe David Bodie's finally the one that gets Jonathan VR DFA'd. I don't fucking know. Like, they got to do something because, like you said, like, you're DFAing a guy like Clint Frazier who really never got a fair shake to get every day at bats. And obviously some of that probably was injury related, right? Because like, the emergency appendectomy, and I can't even say the words tonight because that's what 12 hours of driving will do to you. But like he didn't get a fair shake. So how are you going to judge and just say, oh, they pretty much just used him as a pinch hitter and a platoon bat? Like that's all he was. And if don't do that again with a kid who has shot up your prospect rankings, jumped into the top 30 out of nowhere last year, and has actually made legitimate noise in your system, is a guy that maybe he isn't your everyday left or center. Maybe he's a guy that can be a DH. He's got the power. He's got some you called him Baby Nelson Cruz when he first got called up. Like, again, but like, who's to say that you can't have that kind of player? That kind of player is still impactful on your team. Now, where the NL finally has the DH. Remember this argument that we sat here and bitched and moaned about with Kyle Schwarber? Guess
Yep.
what? You can have a guy like Velasquez that can already do it. And I know they like giving DH days to Willie because it saves his knees, and I agree, and I think that's great. But like, you're telling me that like he can't play left field every couple of days? Like,
He can easily.
and
then,
maybe he plays like maybe not five, 4 out of every 6 or 7 games. That's still better than what the hell they're suggesting he's gonna get. Like, he's not gonna get anything on this stint up. I almost hope he does go back down for David Bodie. Let
Same.
David Bodie and Jonathan VR rot on the infield this year. And I don't mean that in a terrible way, because I'm sure they're nice people, but just from a baseball business standpoint, let these guys let them suck, I guess, at this point. Because if you're not going to give the prospects a look, yes, Caleb Killian's getting a look. He didn't look great tonight. I blame a lot of that on Jonathan VR because I saw it a couple times on Twitter, and I'll agree. Hey, that's not necessarily on him because he had to make 5 outs essentially in that inning. And he's young. We know growing pains are coming. I'd rather him get shelled at the big league level because the AAA level, he had shown he could do well there, right? It wasn't really helping him. But like, just it is frustrating. And I think that stems perfectly, Joey, into the argument of just what tonight's game was. You lose 12-1 to a Pirates team. Like, tonight, where were you for the O'Neill Cruz game? Like, that's what tonight felt like. Like, this
that kid's gonna be a stud too.
Oh my God, him and Cabrian Hayes on the left side of the infield. Now you know what, Joey? I didn't even think about this until now, but I started thinking about it a little bit earlier because I was like, oh wow, the Pirates have guys coming up that are going to be good. Oh my God, that means they're going to be oddly competitive like they were in 2015. Are the Cubs really about to sit in the bottom of this division competing with the Reds this year? And when you sit here and think about that, that should embarrass the ownership. And again, I can't entirely blame it on the front office yet, but that should at least embarrass the ownership, at least in the sense of like, shit, we got to get this right. And if it means you have to open up the pocketbook, God for fucking bid, do it. And yes, there's been injuries, right? Stroh's hurt, Miley's hurt, Seiya's hurt. A lot of guys are hurt. But that's also a lot of, you didn't have enough depth to account for potential injuries where you had a shortened spring training. And we talked about how pitchers were going to get fucked with all season long. It's just, it feels like the Cubs went in hoping for the best, but expecting the worst. And they're getting that worst because they knew all these flaws that they had. They don't have the depth. Like, that's why they were picking Andrelton Simmons and Jonathan VR off of free agency. Like, they were just trying to field a team for this year.
Which in hindsight looks ridiculous. Like, it's like, man, these 2 guys are just – I thought VR was a good pickup at the time. I really did, and I'll stand by that.
I'll stand by that as well. I thought he was at least going to be serviceable, but I don't know what the fuck happened, but he has not been good.
Been horrible in the field. He lost a step on the bases. He's been bad. He's been really bad.
Yeah, it's not good. And like, but now you're starting to see a team like the Pirates who we used to give shit that they would just try to field a fucking baseball team every year. They're actually starting to develop some talent. That left side of the infield is going to be sick. When your fucking shortstop is laser beaming a ball at 96 miles per hour across the diamond.
And he's 6'7".
He's fucking huge.
He's the tallest shortstop in baseball.
Yeah, like literally my dad, because like my dad and I, when we talk, like I've been gone for a week. So like if I'm not around, sometimes the Cubs game isn't always on, especially when they suck. Because like, you know, we watch it every day because we have to sit here. We talk about it here on Cubs on Tap. But like, I come home tonight. He turns the game on. He's like, "How big is their shortstop?" I was like, "Oh, he's huge." I didn't know he was that huge. I knew he was big though. I thought he was like 6'4". He's fucking massive for 6'7". Reason, bro.
Shortstop, a shortstop. That's a tall stop. Like that's
stupid. but again, the Pirates are starting to have players that are making noise, and there's 2 ways to contemplate. There's 2 big, I guess, ideas that makes me think about very deeply, right? And I think that's where my thoughts are going to be most of the rest of the season. Two pillars, essentially. How embarrassed are you as the Cubs ownership and front office that the rest of your division, other than maybe the Reds, are at least trying to maybe compete here in the next couple of years? Like, are you going to be there with them? Really is the question. because based on what this team is this year. And then the other side is like, do some of these guys that they need to come along, right? Because like the Pirates, like they got it right with Cruz and Hayes, or at least it looks like that right now. Are the Cubs gonna get it right with Caleb Killian? And I'm not writing them off yet. Don't get me wrong. Please do not take my words out of context here for those that are listening. But that's the what if scenarios, right? That have to play out here. It's Caleb Killian. What if he doesn't work out? Brendan Davis is hurt. He's losing a year of development. So is Ed Howard. And those were two big guys that a lot of people penciled into this team in 2024 and beyond. You know, who is going to be the guys? Is it going to be Kevin Alcantara and James Triantos and, you know, some of these guys?
They still got a little ways too. I mean,
right. And PCA, like maybe they're the more surefire guys. Like they really need some of these, like, I don't want to call them bridge prospects, but the guys that are coming first, right? Like think of the Anthony Rizzos from the last regime. Think of, I guess, to an extent, like a Jorge Soler, because he came a little earlier. Like, are those guys going to come? And that's a legit, like, kind of pillar that I'm watching the rest of the season. Like, do we see that step forward from Killian, who I'll just quickly read his final line here for anybody that maybe didn't catch the game or didn't watch the game, whatever. 2 1/3 innings, 3 hits, 7 runs. Only 5 of them were technically earned. I say only, but again, he got costed 2 runs by VR's glove. 5 walks. The walks have been bad last 2 games. I think that's the biggest concern with Killian. And then 3 strikeouts, but I think 2 of them came in the first inning, if I remember correctly. So, like, yes, it's only his 3rd start. I'm not freaking the fuck out yet. Like, reminding people that he just got to Double-A last season. He was only drafted in like 2019. I didn't realize he was drafted that recently. He is a very recent draft pick for a pitcher. He was a college.
He rose up a little quickly.
Yeah. He was a college guy, so that certainly helps. But he's still young as hell. Like, there's still a chance that Killian at least becomes a big league starter, right? Like, I wouldn't be freaking out right now that this kid's not going to work out. But it's certainly a long-term question, Joey, that you begin the analysis period now, if that makes sense, right? It's not going to answer itself just in this season, but you're at least starting that kind of metric grading and your film study, and kind of you're starting to digest the question, right? It's like an SAT or a ACT or a what were those, the ISAT tests for those in Illinois, like the grade, like you have to read like a passage, right? We're at the beginning of the passage. We're just getting into the surface. We're not going to get the answer till we get all the way to the bottom.
No, yeah, we're not going to get the answer here. I don't think for maybe not even next year. Like right. It takes time with these pitchers, like we always talk about. And I mean, Killian's no different. I mean, he's a young pitcher that this is his 3rd major league start. I mean, he's the control thing, like the command, like you just mentioned. That's something that he's known for having in the minor leagues. It's really good command. And I've seen some speculation on Twitter amongst, Cubs Twitter talking about how the ball could be an issue here too, because the major league ball is different than the minor league ball, and the major league ball is not getting scuffed up at all. Basically, it's like taking out a brand new, like it's just so chalked up. It's everything is, it'll just slip. It's like a cue ball, basically, essentially. Like it's falling out of your hand. And maybe that is a big part of Killian's struggle with his command so far, because he's used to dealing with the minor league baseballs. And for the love of God, can we please just find something that works with these damn baseballs? MLB, you own Rawlings. What are we doing here? I really, really do not understand. We're talking about the beginning of the season, dead in baseballs. Now we're talking about some people thinking that they're back to being juiced. And we still have this control problem issue, and people the pitchers are having trouble with control and command. I'm not making an excuse for Killian, but I'm just saying that could be something that it's just tough to deal with or difficult to get accustomed to at this point for him, especially being a young guy with nerves. Like it's also the nerves factor and trying to locate and maybe work on the things that he was trying to improve on, and what the coaching staff told him to improve on after being sent down back to the minors. So he's like trying to incorporate a lot of this. Tonight he threw a lot of 4-seamers, more 4-seamers than I believe the most pitch that he threw in his very first outing was the 2-seamer. And tonight it was the 4-seamer, and followed by the cutter, and then that the 2-seamer or the sinker. So I guess it's really long-winded of me saying I'm not worried about Killian yet, and I don't, like you said, we shouldn't be worried about him yet. And this is the beginning of a story. Like if it starts out, I would rather it start out horribly and end up wonderfully. Like this kid still has all the potential in the world, and I don't want to see him go back to the minors. I know there's been talk about that on social media. Don't log into any Facebook Cubs groups, please, dear God. This guy sucks. He needs to be cut immediately. We were told he's the highest pitching prospect on the team, and this is what we're getting. It doesn't matter. It's because that's what happens with pitching prospects, and he's going to figure it out. I have all the faith in the world. When you can throw 4 different pitches, basically like he can 4 or 5 different pitches at times, effectively and very well, and command them all very well. It's just a matter of getting used to what you're doing at this level, and also like the pitch sequencing, working with Tommy Hotovy. Right. They'll figure this out. I have no doubt that they'll figure this out. It's just I would rather see this next start be against the Cardinals, not a AAA, because if it is in fact something to do with the baseballs, then he needs to work through that. He needs to keep throwing with the Major League Baseballs.
Absolutely. I totally agree with that. And I think with Killian, I love the thought about the baseballs, right? Like we knew it was going to be a weird season because of the shortened spring training and shit's been changing in baseball. Like they're trying to like quote unquote get it right, right? So I agree with you. I think it's worth letting him fight through that and get through it. But it's just like at the same time, this makes me feel like we're little kids again and we're being taught patience. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
That's kind of overall what's going on here, right? And like trying to see that what's coming, and like I think Killian's the guy. Like I think he can be a guy, right? But at the same time, you're like, they just got to work through it, right? They gotta try. Guys take time to develop. We've seen it time and time and time again where, if a prospect gets rushed or like expectations get rushed, sometimes it doesn't always work out right away. And I think that's kind of the approach that needs to be taken with Killian. I'd love to see the walks down next time. Obviously, that would be kind of nice. But overall, you hopefully just want to continue to see improvement, like you said. So, Joey, I mean, brutal loss. Got to rub it off. Do you have any final thoughts on the game? I have one, but I want to give you the floor first.
I mean, not really. Like that's the thing. I love that you mentioned we're being taught patience now all over again, like little kids, and that's the truth. Sometimes you do just have to be patient to get what you want out of life. I guess it's a life lesson, right? And it's no different with these prospects. Like these prospects are going to come up. Not all of them are going to have an insane, crazy on-base streak like Christopher Morel. Not all of them are going to hit a home run in their first at bat like Christopher Morel. You're going to have guys who come up and look like they're not panning out and then go back down and figure it out. I mean, all across baseball, you see that. Alex Kirilloff, Jared Kelenic, like these top prospects, it happens all over the place. And those are just the hitting prospects, which generally people think are like the safer prospects, are the hitting prospects. And people don't consider, there's a long running saying that there is no such thing as a pitching prospect. That's just like a philosophy that a lot of teams take, or a lot of prospect scouts or gurus, I should say. They kind of look at that way, but that's changed now. Like there are pitching prospects that have been coming up and being very successful. It just might take a little bit. Those are kind of my final thoughts, Ron. I know like on this game today, it's like, okay, whatever. I know Ian Happ, he had struggled like 100 points, almost 100 points lower was his batting average on the road than it was at home this season. He was at like 331 at home and 227, I believe, coming into this game on the road. But he smashes at Cincinnati. It's Ian Cincinnati, by the way. And he tears up Pittsburgh. So, I mean, what better way to get back on track on the road than – and just consistently, like you said, he's just having a really, really solid season all around. If you want to split him up home and away, whatever. But overall, his numbers look great. And I really do hope that he is a part of this team moving forward.
I totally agree with you. I think Happ, to me, is a guy that from this old regime that I really do think can be a part of the future in some capacity, right? Like maybe he is a guy that does a little DH, a little left field. Maybe he plays a little center again. Who knows?
Yeah.
Or maybe he is just your permanent everyday left fielder, and I think they're okay with that. Maybe at least for the time being, he's kind of that transition guy where he could be there for 5, 6, 7 years if some of these prospects don't work out. And if guys do, then maybe that's when you part with them to replenish the farm, or maybe they use one of those prospects, that could have filled his place to fill another hole. You know what I mean? Like, again, there's so many what ifs that he's at least a guy that I would love to see get a shot. And he's fun. He's Ian Happ. Like, people love him, and it works. And you kind of took my last thought, because I was going to say average, he's got it up to 290 after tonight, 855 now OPS. Just a nice season for Ian Happ. I mean, the only guy on the Cubs that's really having a better year is Wilson Contreras, which I'm not going to get into that crying fest tonight. So, that's kind of where my thoughts, but I will share a new final thought. So for those that might be watching either in replay or currently live, or if you are listening, I encourage you to go watch. When Joey was ranting there, and all good points, my friend, don't worry.
Sorry for going off.
No, I was multitasking. It was a perfect diversion, because I went into both of my fantasy teams and I picked up O'Neal Cruz because we saw the O'Neal Cruz game tonight. So I'm stashing him because he's not going anywhere. The Pirates suck better. They're actually playing their prospects, Joey. That's my final thought.
Well, look at that.
They're actually playing their prospects, because guess what? They have nothing to lose this season, and the Cubs should do the same. So that's my final thought as we go ahead and move ahead. And that, I hope that sparks debate. Maybe people will tweet at us in the morning. Maybe I'll get inspired and I'll write up a little more in depth on what I think about that. That's my encouragement, that if somebody keeps me accountable on Twitter, I will have to write it at some point tomorrow. So a little nudge, wink, wink there. But Cubs fall 12-1. We're putting it in the rear view. They're 25-42. We sucks. It is what it is. But we're going to go ahead and move forward, Joey, because the Cubs and Pirates are back in action at 6:05 Central Daylight Time on Tuesday, June 21st at PNC Park in beautiful Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. As I mentioned, with the Pirates and Cubs. If you're in the Cubs network, you can listen 670 The Score. Marquee Sports Network is where you can watch the game. And if you're in the Pirates market, it's KDKA FM 93.7 and AT&T Sportsnet Pittsburgh. It will be Matt Swarmer, the no-name, the guy that gives me hope the Cubs can be the Cardinals someday with calling up guys you've never heard of and they make an impact. He will be on the mound for the Cubbies tomorrow. He's 1-2 on the year, 5.23 ERA. He got banged up really in his last two starts. We all saw how good he was his first two starts. 19 Ks for him. And then a guy I also have on a fantasy team, which apparently how this Cubs team's been hitting, he's going to have a good day, but it's Roansy Contreras. The right-hander's 1-1 on the year, 3.06 ERA with 35 Ks for the Buccos. So, Joey, I'm going to turn it back over to you, my friend. Preview of what you're expecting to see tomorrow with Swarmer versus Contreras on the bump. And the floor is yours, my friend.
I mean, I'm hoping for some length out of Swarmer. Like you said, this gives you hope if he can be a guy, maybe even in long relief, because me and Jake last time on the last podcast we did, as he was nice enough to join us.
Booge is the man. Bunowski, not Bujnowski.
Bunowski, yeah. I was like, Bunowski. I had to ask that because I kept hearing it. I kept hearing it on the.
I appreciated the appreciation for the Joey Ricotta and not just the ricotta like a bunch of Chicagoans. Sorry, I interrupted you. Please continue.
No, that was great because it's every time it's a friendly reminder every time you do that yes, everyone is saying my name wrong. Thank you, Ron. But we talked about Swarmer. We talked about how it's 2-pitch pitcher, basically a ton of sliders, the fastball, which he doesn't throw. He's not overpowering with it.
A slider that does like 90 different things, though. It's like a weird.
Yeah, down. It can go over. It can,
he throws it like a wiffle ball.
It's a very odd pitch. It's like what those like advertisements they run, and you've seen probably Joey Batista. Joey Bats when he was with the Toronto Blue Jays. I think he's in like one of the commercials, the advertisements where he's trying to hit one of those nasty like wiffle ball, those pitches that just dart all over the place. They have different holes in them. They're not exactly like wiffle ball, but they're meant to like break and do really weird things. That kind of feels like Swarmer's slider at times because you don't know what the hell it's going to do.
Yeah, all over the place.
But with that said, he's a guy that'll give up some homers. Let's hope it's not tomorrow. Let's hope that the Cubs bats can come to life tomorrow. Roansy Contreras, who I like that kid a lot. Like, I don't know what it is with the pitching prospects with the Pirates. they don't always have success developing their own pitchers, and then they have success elsewhere. But this is a guy that, like, we look at Mitch Keller, we look at Contreras, we look at all the other guys that have been there before, whether it be Garrett Cole, the list goes on and on. We could talk about him for days, but this is a kid that really, he's looked pretty damn good so far. He's got a fastball, 96 and a half. He averages it, but he could pump it up there too, 98, 99. Like he's got gas on that fastball, slider, curveball, nasty, wicked stuff. And he looks like he's panning out with the Pirates before going somewhere else. So, which is bad news for us in division. But I don't know. I'm not super excited about this one because I do kind of view Swarmer as a guy that might be getting figured out now because he only has those 2 pitches at the major league level. Like the Yankees pounded him. He's had a couple rough ones here lately. So I think this could be trouble for us. I just hope that they don't run out there some dumb lineup with like, let's sit Nelson Velasquez against a righty. Let's, just let
you mean Jonathan VR hitting in the 4-hole?
Yeah, what was that? Like, why is he hitting 4th? Like,
I don't know.
What power?
I wanted to throw my phone at the TV in the restaurant on Sunday when I saw, Sunday he was, I think, hitting 6, but the fact that he ever hit in the 4-hole, I wanted to cry and scream, and kick like a child. But
yeah, I
digress.
When I see lineups like that, it just really makes you wonder where Ross's head is at, and I do not want to put a ton of blame on David Ross for this record. Like the record is not Ross's fault. It's just it really makes you wonder.
Either
the talent's not there. We know the talent is just not there. But we can be upset about certain little things, like when Hayward's playing every day, when Simmons and VR are getting all these at bats, when VR is making a ton of errors in the field, which I would be 100% shocked if Jonathan VR is in the lineup tomorrow after the error that he committed. After that, obviously making Caleb Killian work super extra hard. That's a rookie pitcher that you're making work for, like you said, 5 outs in an inning. Can't happen, dude. You're a veteran. Just make the fucking play.
Yeah.
So I would be surprised because if Ross has any like balls at all, you're taking him out and you are disciplining him that way, basically, by saying you're not in the lineup tomorrow. Sorry, my friend.
Yeah. No, I completely agree with you. I think tomorrow they need to show some of that, right? Put out a good defensive lineup. But I get it. This team's hurt, right? Madrigal isn't playing right now. You probably would have him at second base more often than not. You would hope, at least. Morel's having to play center field, so he can't even come in and play second at all. And I would like to see him at second a little more.
Too, yeah. Or even third, too.
Or even third. Maybe you give Patty Wise a day off. And I'm not getting beat up too much on Wisdom because at least he's still showing the power. He's not striking out as much. At least he's making contact, which is better. He's seeing the ball, to me, that at least means. So, I'm okay with him getting looks, but maybe you give him a day at first base instead. But I want Rivas to play. But maybe let him DH. I don't know. Do something different. He plays left field too. They have him everywhere lately. He's just kind of wherever the fuck they decide to put him. So, just give some of these guys chances to succeed and play in the right roles. It really is frustrating watching guys like Simmons and VR get trotted out there on a daily basis. I get injuries, but still, come on.
Yeah.
Also, I had a quick thought before I just share my thoughts for tomorrow. Our friend Scott from Iowa, a shout out to him because he was the one that brought up with Killian. I think this might be something we keep an eye on. Maybe he's trying to do too much. Maybe he is that gamer that tries to do too much, knowing that the Cubs are struggling. He wants to go out there and be perfect. Maybe for him, it's just, hey, man, just go out there and pitch. Don't worry about the outcome. Don't try and do too much. Don't try and overthrow that fastball high in the zone and try to get the guy to swing through it. Maybe you are just better off in that scenario trying to hit your spot. Maybe for him, it's just some of that adrenaline. We don't know his personality as a gamer. Everybody's different. Some guys just turn it on different. And when they're young, they might try to kind of put that hero cape on. So I wanted to shout out Scott from Iowa bringing up that thought because I thought that was a great possibility. That we can keep an eye on with Killian, right? Mm-hmm. Maybe, again, if he starts to seem like he calms down and settles in a little more and the walks start to go on, maybe that's just what the case is. Maybe he just finds his game. And that's kind of what I hope the Cubs can do tomorrow, Joey, is just kind of find their game. Put out a good lineup. Let guys continue to hit. I like seeing Ian Happ continue to hit. Maybe Willie has a big day tomorrow. maybe Morel gets, more than just one hit. I know his numbers are coming down back to earth a little bit, but he's still getting hits in games. He's still getting on base. Like maybe it's not at the same clip, but he's still doing it as a 22-year-old rookie, essentially. That's encouraging. So like maybe some of these guys just have big games and maybe they do sneak out a win against Contreras. Maybe Swarmer does pitch well and doesn't get hit around so much. It's going to be hot as shit in Pittsburgh tomorrow. It's going to be like 91 degrees at first pitch. So like, let's remember it's still going to be hot. The ball's going to fly. It is summer now, pretty much across the entire United States. So let's hope, man. A win would be nice. I don't want to see them like to sit here and be like, hey, we won 3 of our last 5 would sound a hell of a lot better than we just got dick kicked by the Pirates 2 games in a row after getting embarrassed on Sunday. But we won 2 games.
After winning those 2 against the Braves, and then you just
stupid
followed up with this. Come on.
Yeah, I agree. So that's where my head's at. Get a dub. I'm still dead inside. They can't kill me, but I want to see some improvement because I am still a Cubs fan. We are still Cubs fans because we absolutely love the team. And that's why we're on the mic. And Joey, that's also why I want to remind everybody, Cubs on Tap, the official Cubs podcast of the On Tap Sports Network. Go ahead and check out all of our great work over at www.ontapsportsnet.com, at OnTapSportsNet on social media. You can follow the pod-specific accounts here for Cubbies on Tap. We're Cubs on Tap, but we are at Cubbies on Tap on Twitter and Instagram, CUBBIES. I am at Loose on Tap on Twitter. Joey is at Joey Knows Nothing, ends an IN because that stands for Win Baby. Juice on Tap, and everybody else that contributes here to Cubs on Tap. Brandon M. Kane, who writes our great previews that you guys see for the series. And even Teddy Freddy 270, our boy Tyler, who's always putting out good content as well. Bulls, Bears, Blackhawks, you know the drill. We've got it all in Cubs fans. The Southsiders won tonight. Sox on Tap are probably happy. Lance Lynn was back, and they're all willy-nilly excited. And apparently Lubom or Harrison or somebody hit a absolute nuke of a home run. I don't know. They're all happy, but send all your White Sox friends to them so at least they can get some serotonin because we need it here at Cubs on Tap. OnTapSportsNet.com, at OnTapSportsNet on social media, on Tap Sports Network. Go ahead and check out what's on tap. Also, shameless plug, the Chicago Wolves are now tied 1-1 in the Calder Cup finals, or final, pardon me. Things you love to see, and there will be something out about that tomorrow on the website as well. So, OnTapSportsNet.com. Check out what's on tap in Chicago sports. Joey, it's always a pleasure, my friend. It's good to be back on the mic with you.
Great to have you back.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. It feels good to be back. Hopefully, we're getting back into rhythm here now that we're fully staffed again here with some podcast hosts. Big shout out though, and thank you to Dubs and Jake Budnowski for jumping on and joining Joey for the 2 episodes that we had last week. Like I said, hopefully we're back and pretty regular again. And also a little sneak preview. I'm trying to get out to the Cubs game on July 1st against the Red Sox. It's a Friday 1:20 game.
Here we go. That'll be fun.
Decisions, folks. So
it sounds like you already made your decision. You just have to go.
Well, yeah, my decision's made, but like there needs to be a crowd, right? Like there needs to be some friends of the program in attendance, or even maybe some program participants in attendance. I'm going to poke and prod. I'm going to poke and prod wherever I can. I don't know if I'm going to get it, but I'm going to try.
We'll talk.
Yeah, hopefully we got some good Cubs stuff coming your way for all of our great listeners, despite this garbage fire that we are currently covering. Is the Chicago Cubs.
Ron, I'm convinced. So yesterday I played my first game of the season for our rec league. The Northern Illinois Coyotes. It's a men's adult baseball league. It is wood bat league, hardball baseball, which they do allow some metal as well. I think the rules have kind of slightly changed over the last few years, but nonetheless, we lost our game, and I was 0 for 3 with 2 strikeouts and a walk. We were winning the game until like the 7th or 8th inning, whatever, and then we had 1 bad inning and ripped it away. But with that said, I am convinced that my team, my baseball team, just watching the guys on my team and the way that we played, we could beat the Chicago Cubs right now, Ron. And that's how bad that the Chicago Cubs are, because I'm not saying our team's bad, but they should not beat the Chicago Cubs. And they probably still wouldn't. But I'm just saying that's how bad the Chicago Cubs are right now, because we lost 5-2 and they lost 6-0. So that's my reasoning. I don't know why, but That's my reason.
6-0, 12-1. I mean, it just
Yeah.
gets worse and worse and worse as the season goes on. That's a hell of a hot take, my friend. But hey, why do we love Joey Ricotta? Because he gets on base. We'll take that walk. We'll take that in the season.
Yeah, my streak is 1.
I like that. Hey, you still got on base. Christopher Morel did it 22 times in a row. You can do it 22 times in a row too. But my friend,
I just won't play that many games this year, but we'll hope.
yeah, hey, we'll hold out hope. But my friend, let's do a little serotonin bump because we know we got them at the end of the week. What do you say we get out of here? The only way we know how it Cubs on tap. Fuck the Cardinals and let's go Cubbies.
Fuck the Cardinals. Let's go Cubs.